I want to tell you about the school system manual, which we started after we'd been involved in the quality journey. The school system manual is made up of 3 folders: policies, processes, and supporting documents. In the beginning, when we decided we needed to start the manual, it was quite daunting because we had a large number of policies and supporting documents. At that time, we just had a few processes flowcharted. So we had a mass of documents and we didn't know what we were going to do with them. So the principal and I took a day during our school holidays and we brought all of the paperwork with us, and we physically numbered these policies and supporting documents. Once we'd done that, we started to set it up electronically. And as soon as we had the number system in place, it was quite simple to place the documents in the correct place. So that we had a consistent approach to this, I became like the keeper of the keys. So anything that needed to go into the manual was put into a folder on our intranet called Capture the Memory. And from that folder, I would take the document, put the Romsey Primary School header, specifying which part of the manual you're in, what section of the manual, whether it's curriculum, management, students or parents. And then it has information to track the number of the document. So it gives you the issue, and through that we can see how many reviews we've had, and it has the date of when that review occurred. It also gives you the page number, so you know how many pages in the document and whether the document is complete. The supporting documents are often letters or information that goes out to parents or other stakeholders in the school. So the header isn't on these documents. However, that's replaced with a footer, which is hidden text. So when you're looking at it electronically, you can read which part of the systems manual you're in, the issue of the document, and the date. So in a very concise way, this information is all stored within the manual. Flowcharts which have supporting documents have been hyperlinked. If you just click on the hyperlink, you can go straight into the supporting document. As improvement teams completed their PDSAs, we found that we wanted to capture the memory of the flowcharts that had been generated by these improvements and put them immediately into the school system manual.
Dealing with head lice has been a bit of an issue in the school in terms of how we manage it and how parents react to the problem of head lice. So we decided that we would use a quality process to look at what we were doing and to develop some documentation to support what we were doing and to get some evidence and some data about how well we were succeeding. This started about 3 years ago when there was a directive from DEET that we needed to have permission forms for us to, or consent forms for us to check children for head lice. So at that point we decided to analyse what we were doing and put in place a whole process which involved looking at what the issues were, documenting a flowchart for staff to check, and developing some information to send home to parents to let them know what we were doing in terms of head lice management. We also keep parents informed about what we're doing through our newsletter, and it's been really useful to have a set of documentations, a policy and a set procedure for us to be able to manage it and to deal effectively and objectively with what can be a very emotive issue for parents and children. And it's been really useful in that we've collected a lot of data that's helped us to identify where problems occur and to be able to deal with that and to be able to get that data and look at whether the problem is being managed effectively in terms of it decreasing or whether it's escalated. And we've been really happy with being able to identify what we've done, the fact that we are having some success, and it's nice to be able to communicate that back to parents as well. And it's taken away a lot of the angst from parents, I guess. We were on the receiving end of sort of pretty distressed phone calls and things, and that seems to have settled down quite a lot too. So we're really pleased about having gone through that process and developed that documentation to support what we're doing. The documents that we developed started off with our consent for head lice inspections, which every child has to fill in on, or parents fill in on enrolment. And that clarifies what DEET's position is in relation to head lice checks as well, which is really important because parents don't understand that there is a legal sort of implication there for children with head lice. The next document we developed was our head lice policy, which states very clearly what our role is in checking head lice and what the role of staff is in managing the problem at school. That's really good, because everyone knows exactly what their job is and who to go to if there is a problem. We then flow charted the process so that we know that we have to check for consent. We know what action to take in terms of when we find a child with head lice or eggs. We have class lists that we use to check when we're doing a head lice check, and when we record that a child has a problem, we then use a master list so that we can ensure that we follow up those children that are found to have head lice and are sent home, so that we have a process in place where nothing gets missed. We know that we have to do follow-up checks. And the last document we developed was a letter to indicate to parents that we had conducted a check and what the outcome of that check was, even though it may have been that the child was clear, so that parents are being reassured that we are doing our job properly, that when we say we're going to do it, we are in fact doing it. And that has a requirement for parents to respond on it as well if we found that there is a problem. So we have a system in place of a whole series of documents, and some of them actually allow us to extract that data that I talked about earlier, so that we can monitor how well we're doing with managing the problem.
Many of our staff had valuable documents on their own personal computers, but when they were transferred to different areas of the school, or maybe to another school, they could be lost. So in order for us to have all of the memory of improvement within our school available for all our staff, they were put into the school memory and then into the school system manual. Initially, we held a professional development session in our staff meeting. Using our data projector, we were able to demonstrate the manual and show different components and how to track your way through. Staff who want to find a policy, a supporting document or a process, go to the school intranet and it's available to everyone. The manual also has a comprehensive index found in the policy manual in 000, and staff know that if they aren't able to track their way through the folders electronically, they can go to the manual and find either alphabetically or numerically the document that they're looking for.
Okay, today we're looking through the school systems manual, which is located on our administration server. Go into the school systems manual. We have 3 folders: policy manual, process manual and supporting documents. We're going to locate a learning improvement plan today, so I'm going to go to the policy manual. I'm going to go into general. Now there's a few different ways we can locate information. Because I don't know the system very well, I'm going to look through the systems manual alphabetical contents. Okay, here we have the Romsey Primary School systems manual in alphabetical order. So today I'm looking for a learning improvement plan. So I'm going to scroll down to L. Looking for a learning improvement plan, so I've located it here. It's a supporting document, and the call number is 512.100.1. Okay, and now I go into the supporting documents because it was a supporting document we were looking for. Now the call number was 512.100, so I go to the curriculum folder, which is 500 to 600. I look through, these are all the supporting documents. So I'm looking for 512.100.1, which is located here, the learning improvement plan. And there we have the documentation that I need for my student.
Staff are aware of the processes and procedures that they need to follow for certain things within the office environment. One of those could be when they're ordering goods, with filling out purchase orders and completing the process through to delivery and then returning the invoices to the office for processing. Each
year, when we have a repeat of something that happens annually, like the junior school council election or the election of school captains, we go to the flowchart and there we can see the timeline, the stakeholders and the actual process.
One of the advantages of having the documentation is that it's readily accessible and available for updating.
We revisited the excursions and incursions within the school. There had been a process set up, but after a couple of years we were finding that it wasn't successful. So we got together a working party and revisited the flowcharts and the procedures, and we came up with something that we thought would work. So we took it to the staff members for their input. They then gave us some minor changes which we made, and we're hoping to implement it at the beginning of next year fully.
When you've got your flow chart, it's so much easier to identify where the problem lies, and it's not always obvious.
An example would be with our recent incursions and excursions, whereas I thought the major problem was that parents weren't returning money to the office on time and we were having an influx on the day of the excursion, whereas the problem was also that the notices weren't going home early enough and the time frame given to return payments wasn't long enough.
The manual is where all of these improvements are stored, and they're available for everyone. When you take over a new responsibility in the school, you don't have to generate new documents. So someone who's suddenly moved into the prep area and has to do the parent information session can look in the manual and find the PowerPoint presentation that was done the previous year, and then scroll through it and add some new improvements. This is the 2005 one, which was generated from the 2004 one that was already in the manual.
I found that as a new teacher to a school that it was very beneficial to be able to locate information that I needed easily and quickly, and without having to ask lots of people around the place. Everyone's busy, and it's good that I can locate those things by myself. I just found that simple things like notices that need to go out to students and processes that the school follows that I'm not used to are all located on the server.
It's electronic, and they can go anywhere in the school to a classroom computer or their own personal computer and retrieve a document or a letter or a presentation that they need to work on, take what happened last year, add a little bit so that it's current with the right date and the right name, and their work is completed. It's a very efficient and effective way of managing a school and making it work well for everyone in the team.